Venus is the planet of love and pleasure. It rules over your capacity to express affection and to enjoy beauty. In addition, Venus lends your personality allure and desirability, and tells what kind of sex appeal you possess. By looking at the position of Venus in your birth chart, you can answer such questions as what kind of lovers do you attract? Are you flirtatious? Do you find happiness in your love affairs, or are you often disappointed? Where do your creative talents lie? From early times, Venus in mythology has been a goddess whose dominion is love and the emotions. It was Venus who taught the arts of seduction to mortal men and women. Her power over the heart is legend. She stole the wits even of the wise. She was extremely beautiful, and flowers grew wherever she walked. The goddess was also temperamental and self-indulgent, and at times could be treacherous and spiteful. In astrology, Venus rules over love affairs, art and beauty, adornment and decoration, the social graces, affection, harmony and friendship. The planet governs the higher emotions. Its greatest gift is the gift of happiness. It can be said that Venus makes life beautiful. The influence of Venus in your chart indicates how you relate to the opposite sex, whether you are popular and make friends easily, and also what artistic leanings you have. It rules your ability to love and to share with another person, and also governs your choice of gifts, cosmetics, flowers, and art objects. Being the planet of pleasure, it points to the kinds of amusements you are drawn to and in what ways you spend your money. An astronomical look at Venus. Venus, the second planet from the Sun, a little over 67 million miles away, has long been known as Earth's sister planet because it is very similar to Earth in size, mass, and density. Also, no other planet comes as near to us in its orbit. The orbit of Venus lies between us and the Sun and is an almost perfect circle. Venus takes 225 days to complete its journey around the Sun. Like Mercury, the planet at times appears to us as a morning star and an evening star. In ancient days, astronomers thought it was two separate stars, one that heralded the morning and the other that closed the doors of twilight. Though Venus is so near to us, until the early 1960s its surface was a mystery due to the impenetrable veil of clouds that envelops it. Since that time, space probes have shown that Venus has a hard crust like the Earth and a rocky surface covered with volcanoes, mountains, and craters. The most recent space probe to study Venus was the Magellan from 1990 to 1994. Venus's thick and heavy cloud covering has been analyzed as composed of carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid. The light of the Sun is reflected on these clouds, which is what makes Venus shine so brightly in the heavens. The planet's soft and beautifully luminous appearance has always fascinated Earthlings. A planet is afflicted when the negative side of its power is stressed. When Venus is prominent in your horoscope, you are usually a delightful companion, very easy to get along with. Venus also endows its natives with an unerring eye for design and beauty, and knowledge of how to dress and present themselves appealingly. The other side of Venus's influence is that it can encourage a person to put more importance on pleasure, ease, and luxury than on self-discipline. A strong streak of narcissism and a lack of willpower indicate an afflicted Venus in a chart. The planet Venus never travels far from the Sun. In your horoscope, it is always either in your Sun sign or in one of the two signs immediately preceding or following your Sun sign. Venus in Aries. This position of Venus gives a responsive and impulsive love nature. You are the kind of person who falls in love at first sight and never thinks once before following the dictates of your heart. You are strongly sensual and feel at your most complete when you are emotionally involved with someone. Physical appearance is what first attracts you, but to sustain a love affair you must also find mental compatibility. You are turned off by a sloppy appearance or loud, vulgar behavior. As a Venusarian, you attract friends because of your demonstrative and enthusiastic attitude. You like to bring unexpected gifts to those you love. People with Venus in Aries are a curious mixture of sentimentality and aggressiveness. Your emotions are easily touched, but you are also demanding and somewhat selfish. Others should not expect you to settle down into calm domestic peace, You are too restless and flirtatious, too enamored of amour. Venus in Taurus. As a Venus in Taurus person, you are affectionate and romantic, but you don't give your love away too quickly. A bad love affair is hard on you emotionally, so you take your time deciding on the right person to love. This process, however, is done by feeling rather than thinking logically. Yours is a very physical and earthy love nature. To you, love does not exist without sex. You are very demonstrative and generous toward a lover, sometimes too much so. Your passion can be smothering. You have an all-consuming need to make a lover belong to you. With friends, you are willing and ready to help, but you are as cautious about forming instant friendships as about love. This position of Venus brings money luck, sometimes through inheritance or marriage. Venus in Taurus people have a keen artistic eye and are interested in music. You also love to eat and have to fight over weight. Venus in Gemini. If you have Venus in Gemini, you must have an intellectual rapport with someone before your affections begin to blossom. Basically, you have a light-hearted attitude toward love. Intense, heavy emotional commitments are like an anchor around your neck. You have such a wide range of interests: travel, literature, music, seeing new places, and meeting new people that a lover just can't be the single focus of your life. This lends a certain coolness to your emotions. Your inconstancy sometimes causes you difficulties in love or marriage, but you bounce back quickly. Not even a frustrated lover can be angry at you very long. You are too charming, witty, and funny. You enjoy being with people and have lots of friends, and often more than one lover. Venus exerts its most flirtatious influence in Gemini. This position of Venus also stimulates a careless and free hand for spending money. Venus in Cancer. As a Venus in Cancer person, you are romantic and sensitive. Being loved is more important to you than almost anything else, though you often conceal this need under a shell of reserve. You are not, however, so blindly romantic that you don't carefully consider future security. For example, if you are a man, you may not propose marriage until you have some reliable means of earning a living. If you are a woman, you make sure you won't end up sharing your lover's poverty or struggling to support him. In a love affair, you would much rather be pursued than do the pursuing. You need the reassurance that someone wants you enough to go after you. Once you feel secure, you are demonstrative and sensual. You have a wonderful gift for eloquence, and you are also intensely sentimental. You will make a big fuss over your lover's birthday and remember the anniversary of the day you first met. This position of Venus indicates strong family loyalty. Venus Cancerians are delightfully content to be at home and often love to cook. Venus in Leo. Without doing anything, Venus Leos are able to attract warm feelings on the part of others. There is something so magnetic, so irresistibly likable, about you that you enjoy great popularity. You are extravagantly affectionate and generous, buying expensive gifts for those you love and praising them to the skies in front of other people. Of course, what you must have back is intense devotion, loyalty, and lots of attention. You must always be dominant in a love affair. All the World's a Stage was written about your emotional nature. No one can make a scene or confrontation as dramatic as a Venus Leo. Needless to say, you are drawn to the world of theater, and many of you are blessed with superb creative gifts. You also love fine possessions, money, clothes, jewels, furs. Though self-indulgent and pleasure-seeking, you are capable of making a great self-sacrifice for the happiness of someone else. Venus in Virgo. If you have Venus in Virgo, you tend to be cautious about falling in love. You sometimes avoid involvement by taking small defects in a person and blowing them up out of proportion as major character flaws. You hold yourself on a tight rein, because you fear that your feelings will be exploited by someone unworthy. What you want in a love relationship is someone who will regard you as special. Curiously, however, when you do give your heart away, it's often to the wrong person, who will not appreciate your fine qualities. For some reason, this position of Venus tends to promote scandal. Venus Virgos have many virtues. You are refined and intelligent, loyal and sympathetic. Often you are an imaginative writer and teacher. You have an excellent business sense and a quiet but witty sense of humor. Many of our brilliant government leaders and humanitarians are Venus Virgos who have given their love to the world at large rather than to one person. Venus in Libra, you are in love with love. However, you are much more romantic than sensual. You skate gracefully over the profundities of love. Anything coarse, crude, vulgar, or earthy repels you. To you, true love is of the spirit. This is not to say you are sexually chaste. Indeed, you fall in love too easily and often have more than one or more going at a time. However, a love affair for a Venus Libran must have all the right trappings and ritual. The ambience created by champagne, intimate candlelit suppers, poetry written expressly for you, and beautiful gifts quite undoes your resistance. You put great store by charming social manners. People who don't measure up are summarily dismissed no matter what their deeper qualities may be. Venus in Libra can be cold and aloof toward anyone who presumes. This position of Venus is superb for an artistic talent or a flair for design and decoration. You are successful working in creative projects within a partnership or marriage. Sometimes you combine both. Venus Librans adore creature comforts and luxury and tend to be extravagant with money. Venus in Scorpio, with your Venus in Scorpio, being in love is an all-consuming experience for you. There is a profound intensity to your emotions. Your sex life is passionate and demonstrative, and in a love affair it is the sexual side of the relationship that is emphasized. However, you also put love on a spiritual plane. Your deep need is to possess a lover wholly, to make your partner surrender to you body and soul. This, predictably, leads to stormy scenes. It is not easy for anyone to deal with such possessiveness. You are very sensitive to any rebuff. You can bristle like a porcupine. If someone does not respond to your love, you may even become vindictive. If you have the Sun in Libra or Sagittarius, however, the jealous drive is lightened. Venus Scorpios tend to become involved in lucrative marriages or business partnerships. You have a sweeping, compelling imagination, and many of you do highly original artistic work. Venus in Sagittarius. Venus Sagittarians begin love affairs with a spirit of adventure. You like to experience the excitement of love in the same way you search for diversion in the rest of your life. First attractions are always wildly romantic. As a Venus Sagittarian, you never seem to have commonplace or banal love affairs. However, you cannot sustain the emotion, and therefore never completely sacrifice your freedom to another person. What you want is the unobtainable, perfect love, and even if you could find it you would shrink from being possessed by it. With such contradictory attitudes, it's no wonder you leave your lovers terminally puzzled. Basically, Venus Sagittarians are high-spirited, outgoing, and highly imaginative. You tend to attract powerful and influential friends and find it much easier to deal with friends than with lovers. For one thing, friendship is less demanding. Luck in creative affairs surrounds projects undertaken in foreign countries or far from home. Venus in Capricorn. Venus Capricorns are as careful and cautious about love as about anything else. You may sometimes be thought of as cold and calculating because you believe in the dictate it's just as easy to fall in love with someone rich as with someone poor. In fact, this was probably said originally by a Venus Capricorn. However, it is far from telling the whole story. When in love, you are loyal, faithful, and dependable. If you don't marry rich, you work to give a mate security, and that includes material comforts. You may not be demonstrative and flowery, but what you say you mean. There is a dichotomy between your emotional life and your sexuality. You have earthy passions but keep them separate from your mental attitude. You can be sexually involved and detached at the same time. Venus in this position indicates a personality that is jealous, possessive, and fearful of rejection. Once snubbed, Venus Capricorn's reaction is complete coldness. Venus in Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius promotes a kind and loving nature. You are helpful, charitable, and giving, but you are not an emotional person. You have an intellectually detached attitude toward love. To you, personal freedom is most important, and any relationship must leave you free to explore varied interests and hobbies, meet new people, and enjoy a wide range of friends. You cannot tolerate jealousy and will walk away from emotional scenes. You believe in fairness and openness. As a Venus Aquarian, you are most likely to have platonic friendships because sexual involvements are more emotionally binding than you like. You are immensely popular, and can attract a great many lovers. Often, however, you choose to direct your personal magnetism toward larger concerns and more enduring verities than mere romance. Aquarius is the sign of hopes and wishes, and Venus in this sign usually grants you what you dream of, though not until midlife or later. Venus in Pisces. As a Venus Piscean, you are inclined to have tender emotions and a deep capacity for devotion. In love, you are gentle, kind-hearted, extremely sensitive, and fickle. It is not that you mean to be inconstant. It's simply that being in love is such a wonderful feeling, and being loved makes you feel complete. You have an unfortunate penchant for choosing the wrong kind of lover, the kind who will take emotionally but not give back. Venus Pisceans often have a secret love affair that causes them grief. You are completely intuitive about love, never logical. No other position of Venus can be as self-sacrificing or places more importance on the happiness of loved ones. You have true empathy for the problems of another person. Venus also indicates an imaginative and creative artistic flair, which helps you to put your feelings into writing, acting, or music. Venus Pisceans are so generous that money slips through their fingers.